Hey guys, in today's video, I'm going to show you how you can build tools in Airtable. So today, I'm going to show you an entire system that will help a private chef be able to plan all the meal of the week for his clients, but also to generate a grocery list directly on his mobile phone, in order to help him buy what he needs to do. And all of this using Airtable, Fillout, Make.com, and a couple other tools. I hope you're ready because this system can be life-changing for a private chef. With that being said, let's jump into today's demo. So the first thing that I'm going to do is to show you a little bit how this tool works. And then I will take you through the behind the scenes so you can understand what was the reasoning behind it and how I managed to build this. So the context, you already know it, is building a meal prep tool for a private chef. So the private chef has some clients and he needs to prepare some meal for them every day, and basically lunch, dinner, and he needs to have a flexible system that will allow him to be able to know what each of them are eating, how much they're eating, and also how to organize his week with all the actions that he has to do for each recipe, but also purchasing the different ingredients, right? So this tool has been built in Airtable, and as you can see here, we are on the meal dispatch section, which is the place where you will come and assign different meals for your clients based on what you want to do. So just to give you a quick idea, I already have some clients here. I already assigned some dishes. So we're just going to do one together just to show you how it works. So the first thing that I'm going to do here is I will come and select one of the clients. So for example, I'm going to pick Mary. And so this is the family member ID, which means that each client is part as well of this tool, and you can identify them in order to know exactly what are their diet, right? Then I'm going to pick a day. So for example, right now, this is for Saturday, and I will be able as well to pick a recipe. So for example, I can select salmon with veggies. I'm going to pick as well the meal type. So, lunch in my case. And then what's going to happen when I select the day, the recipe, and the client, I have AI that's going to perform a matching between the customer and the recipe and see if there is any ingredients that should not be part of this recipe because it's dangerous for the client. In this case, let the chef knows that, oh, look, this one we might have an issue because, for example, that's food that Mary dislikes. So that's a great way for me to know as well what I should cook or not. And there's other feature included with this AI because, for example, if I change here and I'm putting, for example, Tuesday. So now Tuesday, I can see that this has been moved to this particular place here. And I already have one with Mary. But now you check as well, you can see that this is the client's birthday. So this tool allows you as well to know about the monthly cycle for a woman, about the birthday, which is even better for a chef to always have a thought about his clients, but also be able to prepare his entire week, knowing exactly what's going to happen. So once this has been done, you can sync all, and this is where this entire tool will start working. So when you do this, what's going to happen is based on the meal prep that I've set up for the entire week. First of all, I'm going to extract all the recipes that I'm planning to cook for the week in order to know the ingredients quantity that I would need. Then I will extract from each recipe. I'm going to extract all the actions needed in order to create the recipe. And with this, I'll be able to map out all the actions needed for the week, and I'll be able to reorganize them in order to know exactly what I'm going to do and when. And then I will also be able to generate some menus. So for now, the menus, they're not connected, but you'll see later that you're able as well to connect them. And last but not least, I'm also going to be able to generate a grocery list from this entire tool. And this grocery list, I will have it with me every time I go to the shop. So let's just wait a couple seconds. So now it's done. I can see it's done. And now I have different tabs that have been generated. The first one is the menu generator. So here is all the recipes generated for all the clients that I have this week. And basically, I will be able to either unselect all, if, for example, I don't want to generate all the menu, but just some of them. And then I can just select, for example, this one if I want to. So that will be the lunch for this guy. And then I'll be able to generate a menu here. So I'm able to either connect it to another tool or right now to generate a tab that will allow me to export it directly into Canva, for example. Then you have here the client prep action, preparation and action tab, where you can see that we have directly calculated all the quantities for this meal for this particular member. And we have also the procedure for this recipe. And this happened for every single member. So we have the recap of what would be needed in order to cook the recipe for Mary. So like, for example, here we can see because we added twice the same recipe, this is what we have to do for Mary on Tuesday. And basically you have the same for each client. And then you have on this tab all the action that will be needed for all the recipe that we have set up for the week. And you will be able as well to decide, okay, this is for Tuesday, for example, but actually I can chop those vegetables. So right now it's the courgette, so 100 grams of courgettes. I can actually chop them all on Monday. So here you'll be able to select this, set up Monday, and now all this action will be assigned for Monday. So you'll be able to organize your entire week, making sure that all your actions are already done for your entire week, as long as you can't see any other action on a different day, right? And last but not least, the grocery list part. So this is basically all the ingredients for all the recipes that I have. And now if I press, so here I'm on an app called TickTick, and as you can see, I have nothing generated. But as soon as I'm going to press the generate grocery list, what's going to happen now is, because I'm a private chef and I need to work with clients, there's different way to make your groceries, to purchase your groceries, right? One is you just want to buy everything when you go to the shop because it's easier for you to buy everything at once. But the other one is like, you just want to build your client based on what they consume. And what we're going to do in terms of shopping lists, we're going to generate one list with all the ingredients that we need, all the different quantity, and we're going to generate a list per customer that will allow us later on to sum up everything we purchase for them and just charge them exactly what they ask, what they consume during the week. So now, as you can see, I have the sum of all the ingredients needed for this entire week, right? And if I take every single list, then I have the breakdown of what's needed for James, what's needed for Mary. So this one's the family because I have a member ID here. And Durant, which is another client that I had, as we can see, we have 125 tomatoes here. For this one, we have 4 tomatoes, so we 129 tomatoes. Here we have 30 tomatoes, so 159 tomatoes. And the shopping list has exactly 159 tomatoes. So this is what's happening for every ingredients, right? On top of this, we have a recipe cookbook here where the chef can add all the recipes that he has. He can also add all the ingredients in order to make the recipes and all the action for each ingredient that he will be able to activate or deactivate based on the recipe. So with that being said, we're almost done. And we have the prep action tab, which is all the action needed for all ingredients that I have. And finally, the customer tab where I can add all the customers that I have in order to make sure that I'm always stay on top of everything that I do. So I hope you enjoyed this demo. That was really, I tried to make it quick, but now we are going to deep dive into this entire system and how I built it so you as well can build this type of tool. Hope you're ready because it's starting right now. So let's talk about the tech stack needed in order to build a system like this. So first of all, make.com. So as you saw, I've been able to generate a grocery list because I'm using make.com with Airtable. I'm using obviously Airtable as you have seen a little bit for now. So everything has been built with Airtable. In order to have some data entry and making sure everything is harmonized, I'm using Fillout. So Fillout, which is natively integrated with Airtable, which is perfect. We've seen the AI module that allow us to know exactly what's happening with the client, if he can eat what we have selected for him, if it's the monthly cycle, if it's a woman, or if it's the birthday of the client, and we're using OpenAI for that. And last but not least, TickTick is the app that we're using in order to generate the list. And I believe it will also be doable with a Notion or any other type of tool, even WhatsApp if needed. So With that being said, let's go now a bit deeper into the overview of the system and understanding a fundamental concept in order to make it work. So the first one is, here we have the different forms. So the forms from Fillout that I will show you just after are forms that allow us to collect data, right? So adding an ingredients, for example, adding a recipe, adding a customer, adding a prep action, all the stuff are coming from forms because that allow us to harmonize the data, structure them in a way that's going to be regular and make sure the database is clean. And this is one of the essential elements whenever you want to use AI, is making sure that we have clean data. And that's why we're using Fillout in order to make sure that every time I add something, is always going to respect the format that I want. Every time I'm going to add a recipe, it will have all the information that I need in order to make sure this entire system will work. So what's going to happen every time I add something new in this database, like a recipe ingredients, I'm using directly this form and everything will be stored here in Airtable. And I will show you all the different databases that I have. But once this is stored, that allows us, for example, to run function directly to generate a list. But that also allows us to have different interfaces. So this is exactly what I showed at the very beginning, the different interfaces based on what we want to show and what we want each tab to be able to do. And so all of this is only possible because there is clean data in Airtable. So what about the implementation? So how do we implement something like this? So how do we implement something like that? So basically, let's go behind the scene. So if I go here and I'm going to go to this base, here are all my databases, right? So I have probably around 40 different tables. And all those tables, they go from the day of the week, for example, because those are elements that would not change. So I'd rather have them somewhere so I can reuse them across different tables. But I'm also going to have, for example, a measurement tools. So this tool will allow me, for example, to add ingredients with a different measurements. So for example, in a recipe, you can have a cup of something, but the reality is you might buy a kilogram of flour or sugar. So you need to convert sometimes, the different metrics in order to make sure that you know how much quantity that represents. So we have a table for that as well. We have a table for different categories. So for example, this is for the ingredients. So that help us classify all the elements. We have as well category for the serving. So when we add a customer, we can assign a serving quantity for each customer. So for example, an adult will have 1 serving as a base. A kid will usually eat less than an adult, so 0.6. And a baby will eat a lot less than an adult, which is going to be 0.1. And obviously, you can change all of that. You can readapt it the way you want to. And in my case, this is just a standard that I wanted to use. And this tool is flexible enough to let you adjust the quantity, either because you're going to invite someone for dinner, so you need an extra portion, or because you're a bodybuilder and you're actually eating twice more than a normal person. So you'll be able to do all of this with this tool. Then you have the ingredients tab. So obviously, this is the ingredients that you have. So everything is harmonized. We have a category, subcategory. We have pictures, quantity, the basic quantity for 1 serving as well. And we have also the different diet restriction for this ingredient. For example, is it not suitable for people who are diabetics? The seasonality of the meal. And all of this is very important because that allows us then to perform filters and find the right recipe for the right moment, for the right person, right? Then what we have the grocery list. So this is what it looks like in the database. We have also the planning one. So this is the one that I use at the very beginning in order to organize my week. But then we have also the breakdown of everything that will have to happen. Like, so for example, here we're going to have the quantity, but we also have like the different action per meal. And we have the breakdown of each action that will need to be performed. And in order sometimes to make connection between the different tabs, I'm using as well what we call Junction table, which is like, I'm creating a tab that is not meant to be displayed, it's just meant to organize my data better. Because I might have, for example, if I take this table here, so the Junction table here, as we can see, I have all the different status on this table. So activated, deactivated one. But when I go to this one, I just have the activated one. And that allows me to perform less requests and to filter automatically what I need from one table to another directly here. And so then I can directly use this table because I know the data from this table are clean, which avoid me to add an extra filter. Because if I had to take, for example, a little prep action for this table here, then I will have to already add another filter about this has to be deactivated, and knowing that those data, they already go through an entire script in order to come out like this. And so the idea is always to make sure that we have the less database possible that's going to be edited, and the one that we use the data from are actually clean ones that are not edited that often. So making sure we keep everything well structured and can perform better. So we have also a database like for customers. And basically the main idea was to link all of that together. So obviously I'm trying to also cover it really fast because otherwise it would take like a week to just cover all the features that this tool offers. But the main idea is just to inspire you, to show you a little bit as well what you can do with this kind of tool that actually low code, but you can actually take it like to a next level. And then we have, I don't know if you remember, I told you that I could generate a menu. So basically here, for example, this is what I'm having in this interface. So here's the recap of all the menu there for this week. If, for example, if I select all, now they all become true, which means that I could potentially generate all those menus at once. And in my case, like if I press this button, I'm not going to have an actual menu that's going to be generated because right now we needed to have a pay tool in order to do it. But instead, what I'm having here is I'm going to fill up this entire database in a different way. So here was my overview initially, and now this is just the menu that I've generated. And now I can export this tab in CSV, upload it in Canva, and generate manually all the different menu for each family member here. And so the idea of this tool was also to be able to make everything simpler, because when you cook for a family, then you just realize that the son may have a specific diet, the daughter may have a specific diet, the father may have a specific diet. And in order to make sure that we could also tackle everyone's habits and diets, then I created a family identifier. So the family identifier is basically the name that will represent the entire family. So if you're cooking for a group of people or a group of person, then you can identify them with a specific name. And so that becomes the family ID, right? And for each member of this family, then we will assign them a specific member ID. So for example, I took the example of the family called James, and I here, for example, assign a family member ID for Bronny and for LeBron James, for example. So that allows me to know that among the James family, I have two different people, and each of them will have or can have different diets, different restrictions, which allow me to tackle them all at once, even though they're part of the same family. And so all of this was just to show you a little bit what it's possible to do with this. And another aspect that I would like to cover and to show you is a little bit about the grocery list. So when you go to the automation part, everything that I have right now is actually running with scripts. So most of them have been generated with the help of AI, but then it allows you to literally do and perform tasks that you cannot do with the regular automation. So for example, when the AI was performing research regarding if you have any conditions and if the recipe was suitable for you, then I was able to use this directly in a script, which allow me to refer to different table, to different field, and set up the conditions that I needed. And all of those scripts basically allow me to run this tool completely. And one of them is, for example, so there's journey menu here, but there's another one for the grocery list, this one. And when I press this one, there's different scripts that's gonna happen here. But what's gonna happen is it's gonna send a webhook to this make.com flow. So this webhook will basically receive different field. So one with the grocery list array for each family. So here you can see the family name and the different items. Same here. And this one is just the grocery list with all the ingredients, right? And so the first thing that I do here is putting a router because I need to generate two lists. And the first list is I want to update the existing one by putting the right date. So today's date, because every time I'm going to press generate is because I'm about to go shopping. So I want to make sure this is the accurate list. So that's a way also to control that the automation did work. And so once I've done this, I'm going to use an iterator through the grocery list. So through this element in order to gather all the ingredients. And then I'm going to add all these ingredients in this particular list. For the other one, I'm going to start with an iterator here because among the families that I have different members here, right? So first of all, I use iterator for all the families. Then I'm going to create a list. So with the family name, because this task will be performed 3 times, as we can see, because of the iterator that I used. So I'm going to create 3 different lists, which is what we had here, James family and Duran here. And then I'm going to use another iterator to go through the different items. So if you remember well, this is what we have now. This is the output. So we have the families, family 1, family 2, family 3. But now we need another iterator in order to go through the item of each family that will help us to bring them all together. So that's what we did, items. And now for each list, basically, so I refer to the list ID I just created before, and I'm going to add basically, so the title will be this, and that will match with all ingredients that we have. And so that's how this flow is able to generate an entire list in TickTick. In order, so then when I go shopping, I can literally just cross it off and that's done. And so that's how this thing works. So that's it for this part. Another part that I wanted to show you was probably how to, for example, add a recipe. So every time you're going to press a button, you're going to end up on a fill out form, right? And so here you can add your recipe, you can add a picture, you can select the recipe category. So this is what I talk about when I said we want to harmonize data, is making sure everything we have follow always the same structure. That's very important. And then we have the preparation part. So in the preparation part, we can add ingredients. So if you remember, we have ingredient tab where we added some ingredients. But for each recipe, basically, we need to select the ingredients and define the right amount, the right quantity for each. So we create a new ingredient. And here I can select an ingredient that I have in my list, for example, if I need to add the rice, or maybe I can just add the new ingredients because I didn't have one. So here I can add the new ingredients in my entire tool, or I can select an existing one. So I can take eggs, for example. If I want to create a specific recipe, I need 1 egg. I can just add 1 and then select the measurement. So 1 piece, and then I can add it. Once it's added, I can add all the ingredients, etc., and then a procedure, right? So I can do, the procedure will be the recipe I need to follow. So I can write or copy paste whatever I want, add all the main benefits of this recipe, who this recipe is not suitable for. I can add also like some pictures if you have, sometimes some pictures that give you all the nutrients, the benefits of a specific recipe, for example, that you can literally drop a picture here with all those elements. And then you can here for each recipe add the title that you want to display on the menu, plus the description for the clients and any notes or warming instructions if you want your client to use it in a specific case. You want to warm it in a specific way. And then you can just add, and literally when you add, then you have a new recipe that's going to appear next to the other. This cookbook is also made in order to help you filter basically all the recipe that you want based on different criteria, right? So you can select by seasonality, for example. You can select by main benefits. So we have a high protein one. So now there's just one visible. And you can also select different like category. Obviously, this is up to you. You fill up the way you want to. And yeah, that's the way it works basically. And we have the same kind of form as well for the ingredients, right? So that's the form that we just saw earlier. And that's the exact same concept. So I'm not going to keep going because it can take like ages. I think I cover it all and I think you get a rough idea about what's possible to do. So if I go back to this presentation, so what's the budget to build a tool like that? So for make.com, because I'm using only one scenario and basically I'm going to generate maximum like 10 lists a week, I can stay on a free plan. And that's what's beautiful about this tool. The free plan will be more than enough. For Airtable, because we're using automations and we do not want to have any limits, then you need to pay at least $24 a month or to have a premium plan. That will be mandatory for that. Then we have the Fillout, and Fillout is actually free. The fact right now that we're just using form to collect data, we can do it on the free plan. If we want a different branding or we want to send this form, for example, for a client, they provide better experience, we can remove the branding and we have to pay. But like for now, the free plan is more than enough. For OpenAI, you just need to have an API key and top up your account. So as you saw, we do not generate a lot of content. So probably $20 a year, you'll be good. You will have more than enough in order to run this tool. And TickTick is a tool that is free. You can also use Notion. You can use WhatsApp. There's so many other options that you can have. Really depends on how you want to have your list on your smartphone. But that's a quick idea about what's possible. What about the takeaways? So this tool took actually quite a few weeks to build. It was really challenging because there's so many criteria to take into consideration. But I think it was very interesting to show this real use case because this is a way to implement AI as well in different industries. So like usually when you're in the kitchen, AI probably not the most helpful, but we can actually use it in order to prepare the week. But as you saw, the AI is just a tiny piece of an entire system that has been built in order to get clean data that allow you to already organize your week and making sure everything will run smoothly. So what's happening right now, I feel like automation is the core essential that you need before even implementing AI. There's a lot of role today or jobs that requires already a clean automation and that already feel like a relief before even implementing AI. And for this one, as you saw, everything was built with no-code tool. There was some script added in order to go beyond the usual limit of Airtable. But beside that, with the help of OpenAI, with the help of Claude.ai, you can definitely generate as well scripts and be able to build some complex tool or actually good MVPs in order to validate a prototype or a concept and take it to the next level. I hope you learned something today with this video. I hope that inspired you. Feel free to subscribe to see more systems in different cases. If you need any help with your own business and you want me to help you set up and automate your flow, feel free to get in touch. My name is Davey. I'm the founder of runautopilot.co, and that's it for me. See you next time.